How are you today?
I'm well, Judith, thanks.
Okay, so remind me, how long have you lived in Hungary?
Yeah, it's a complicated question. Over the course of the last 27 years, I've probably spent about 10 years on and off in Hungary.
Wow, that's fascinating. You were a manager and a senior executive for 30 years in a number of countries in multicultural environments. So can you tell me a little bit about the communication differences between a Hungarian culture and an English culture in a business context?
I can try. I think there are three areas I'd pick up on. The first was really about how I found it very difficult to understand Hungarian executives when they were talking to me in English or indeed through an interpreter. I think the primary problem there was it came over in a very unstructured way. I got very long monologues, which were very difficult for me to dissect and kind of reverse engineer and figure out what the person was trying to tell me. There may well have been a lot of good content there, but quite frankly, because of the language challenges, because of maybe nervousness, but there was just too much for me to be able to unwind, and it was very, very difficult to pick out what they were saying from all of that. So moving on from that, I would say that people who are trying to up their game in terms of their communication skills need to be really conscious of that and try and put some structure around what they're saying. Be careful to put pauses in to let people have a chance to digest what they've said. And fundamentally, think about what are the key messages that they really want to emphasize and they want the counterparty to take away with them. So I guess that was the first area. The second then was a kind of, I'll call it defensiveness. That feedback for companies that I've operated in outside of Hungary is just part of business. And feedback is not a kind of telling somebody off. Feedback is really the route to improvement. It's all about continual improvement. And I found in Hungary that wasn't really the way it was interpreted. The second that any kind of feedback came on to somebody, you could sense already a kind of nervousness, defensiveness. Oh my God, this guy is telling me what I've done wrong. This guy is evaluating me in some negative way. And there was a great kind of suspicion about that feedback. So I think, again, if I'm trying to advise somebody about how to think about this, is just understand that feedback, if it's done well, is generally constructive criticism, and it's about the route to get better. It's about continual improvement, and it isn't, or at least should not be, simply about talking somebody down. And the third area, which I'm not sure it's classically about language or communication, but more about approach, was I found many skilled operators, skilled executives working in the company here in Hungary, and had a particular skill for finding problems. And that's great, and I expect that from people. We need to know what the problems are so we can deal with them. But what I found really quite frustrating was that their perception of their own remit was to identify the problems, bring the problems to me, stick them on my desk and say, "Thank you very much, please solve that, boss." And that really, I exaggerate, of course, but that was the trend. And what I needed to do over a number of years there was really change the mindset, which, yes, you need to identify problems, but frankly, problems are there in any case. What I really need alongside those problems are the solutions. And so to try and take the agenda of a meeting, a discussion of our work, as soon as possible out of the problem space and into the solution space. And I think that kind of positivity is not about ignoring problems, but it's identify them, yes, but move on quickly into the solution area. And that's something I think still I detect in Hungary, and I still encourage people to put more focus on.
Okay, great. So what I'm hearing from you, that it's not just about language, but a certain mindset and culture that people need to focus on. Is that correct?
It is. It's about mindset, it's about language for one part, but overall communication.